Dan, thank you so much for that kind introduction. Thank you for the invitation to be with you. I want to thank you for your leadership of the Chamber as chair, and thank all the board members for their leadership, and thank all the members of the Chamber, because they are indeed the backbone of this community. They're the backbone of our economy right now. It's my honor and privilege to be here today as we recognize some very, very special people. In doing so, in recognizing these nominees and these award winners, we are also recognizing all of those who serve with them. Those people who serve in law enforcement, emergency management, and emergency personnel, our firefighters, our first responders. They are all very, very special, and their families are also very, very special. Those we have here today are the standouts in their field. They are the stars shining brightly in a sky of very brilliant stars. These are the people who have dedicated their lives to serving us, to protecting us, to making us safer, to preserving our health, our safety, and our property. These are people that save you money. They save you money on insurance premiums. They save you in reduced health care costs. But more importantly than that, they help save lives. These are the people that are the best of the best, and they deserve our thanks and our praise. That's why I want to applaud the Chamber for sponsoring these awards, because the Chamber is also special. I said these businesses are the backbone of the economy. Indeed, they are. 70% of the jobs created in the last 10 years were through small business. 86% of our jobs are in small business. As Dan said, I've been traveling the state on a small business listening tour in conjunction with the Chambers and National Federation of Independent Business. It's been interesting, but one of the very first ones, an area that was losing population, I looked at a gentleman and I said, "What can we do to help your small business?" And he turned it back on me. He says, "What can you do to make my community strong?" Because if you don't have a strong community, if you don't have people coming in the door, taxes and regulation and those things don't matter. That's why these awards are so important today, because these are the people who help make your community strong. These are the people who make your community safe. So again, I thank you for sponsoring these awards. I know when I served those 12 years in the North Carolina Senate, I appreciated everything each and every one of you do. Always tried to fight for increasing those retirement benefits when we could, and expanding workers' comp insurance, appropriating money for equipment, training, and radio funds, enhancing that ability to communicate between agencies. This last year, the General Assembly expanded the use of the 9/11 funds, hopefully to help you in that endeavor. We can never do enough to support you, because the people we honor today truly are our heroes, and so are all the men and women who serve with them. I think it's exemplified by the story of a young family, a mother and father that had 2 children, an 8-year-old girl, a 4-year-old boy. Unfortunately, the little girl, the 8-year-old, had a very rare blood disease. They talked to the doctor, and the doctor said the parents volunteered themselves to allow a transfusion. That was the thing that would save the little girl's life. And they said actually it was her 4-year-old brother that would be the perfect donor. That's who they really needed. So one night, reading his bedtime story to him, they explained it to him that if they could take his blood and give it to his sister, she would become well. And the little 4-year-old boy, his sister, that was his hero, and he knew intuitively she was not well. He thought about it a little bit and said he would be happy to do that. So just a day or two later, because time was of the essence, they took him to the hospital and they put him on the gurney, and his mother and father were there, and they began to draw his blood. And as he saw the blood leaving his arm, he began to quake and shake, and they saw the fear in his eyes. And his mother put her hand on him and said, "Son, what's wrong?" He said, "How long will it take me to die?" You see, nobody had ever told him that they weren't going to take all of his blood. Nobody ever told him that he would not be sacrificing his life, that he would live and his sister would live. But in his mind, he was going to give his life, but that was fine because it was going to make his sister well. Such an unselfish act, and that's what these people do for us each and every day. They serve so unselfishly and make our community a better community. They make our community a stronger community. They make our state better. So that's why I'm honored to be here, and thank you for what you do. I think the importance of these individuals really came into more focus right around 9/11, when we saw how first responders were working in physical and human devastation. And that focused on it. But these people live that each and every day. They are there for us each and every day. While on that day 2 buildings may have come down, I will tell you that the towers of faith and freedom, the very foundation of our country, will never come down as long as we have heroes like we are honoring here today. Too often we take them for granted. It's a little bit like the fellow who was going to be a paratrooper, and he was worried about his first jump. He had some trepidation, so he went to an experienced paratrooper. He says, "What can I expect?" Said, "Very simple. Tomorrow morning around 6 o'clock, there's going to be a truck that will pick you up at your barracks. It will drive you to the airport. You will get on an airplane and you will climb to 3,000 feet. Your first sergeant will call your name and you will jump out of the airplane. And you will yell Geronimo and then pull your ripcord. If for any reason your ripcord does not deploy, you pull your emergency cord and your parachute will deploy. You will float gently to the earth and the truck will be there to pick you up." Well, he didn't sleep at all that night, and at 6 o'clock, though, just as he had been told, that truck was there. It picked him up and drove him to the airport just as he expected. He got on the airplane and they climbed right to 3,000 feet just as he had been told it would. His first sergeant called his name and he jumped out of the airplane and yelled Geronimo and pulled his ripcord. Nothing happened. He pulled his emergency cord and nothing happened. And as he was plummeting to earth, he thought to himself, "I bet that truck won't be there either." These people that we honor today are always there. They're always there for us. They're always sacrificing for us. So we want to thank them for that sacrifice. We want to honor them today for that sacrifice. And we want to thank their families also, because the families also serve who stand and wait. These family members are the family members that love you. They worry about you. They pray for you when you go to work, and they are so proud of you today they cannot stand it. So let's remember them also. In a minute you're going to hear about the service of these particular award winners. But we honor all of these nominees and all of those who serve with them, because they indeed are the heroes. They are the great public servants. They don't get paid enough money. When I was serving that 12 years in the North Carolina Senate, somebody says, "Why do you do that?" I lived about 235 miles from Raleigh. They said, "You're driving, almost 500 miles a week to go down there to come back, and you don't get paid a lot of money. Why would you do that?" And somebody said, "Well, he does it for the psychic income." Well, there's some truth to that. The psychic income, that you're doing something for your community, that you're doing something for your state, you're doing something for your fellow man. Well, what legislators do pales beside what these people do for us. They do so much each and every day, and they don't get paid enough money, but they're millionaires when it comes to psychic income because of what they do. They have laid up their treasures in heaven, I assure you. There's a congressman from South Carolina, James Clyburn. His father was a minister, and James knew that his father expected him to become a minister. But when he got to college, he realized that he did not want to be a minister. He dreaded that day of sitting down with his father and saying, "Dad, I do not want to go into the ministry. I want to go into public service and serve the people in a different way." When he told his father that news, his father just looked at him and said, "Son, that's fine. That's all right. People would much rather see a sermon than listen to one." Well, what you see here is a sermon each and every day with what these people do. That is why I applaud the Chamber for recognizing them. That's why I thank them and applaud them for what they do. The great humorist Will Rogers years ago said, "A person makes a living by what they get, but they make a life by what they give." Well, these people you see before you have a wonderful life because they have given so much to our community and to our state. So I cannot thank them enough. They've made our community better. They've made our society better. That's why I'm honored to be here today. That's why I thank the Chamber for honoring them. And that's why I thank each and every one of you in this room and congratulate you on the awards that you are receiving today. Thank you.